bibs that they were sending to folks with newborn babies. And I said, I don't think I like that at all. People are paying high premiums, and you're sending out promotional gear to try to keep them as your clients.
Okay, thank you. Next is a question that has come in on several of the index cards from the audience, and is also one of the AARP voter guide questions, and it concerns property taxes. The voter guide notes that property taxes average about 35, Commonwealth support is only 35% of a school district's budget on average. So therefore, property taxes are taking an ever bigger share of providing education. The question is, what do you propose to do to lower property tax burdens on older Pennsylvanians and yet still provide adequate support for the schools? And that goes to Dr. Bompiani first.
Thank you, Dr. Well, I've lived a nightmare of property taxes just like you because I paid property tax in my area. I've also lived a little bit further because I have struggled to try and educate our children on a public level, public education level. And that's where the bulk of your property taxes come from. And yes, while it's a 30% decrease of their share, they're supposed to be giving 50%, they're giving now about 34.4%. It is very, very costly to us to try and make this up. But the unfunded mandates are probably the worst thing. When there's a retirement modifier that has to be built in, we have to find a way to pay for it because they don't give us the money. All these high escalating costs, at Hempfield, taxes were raised over my tenure. But you know what? Every school district raised taxes. Our tax base is still one of the lowest. Our tax millage is still one of the lowest in Westmoreland County. I'm proud of that. But I'm most proud of the fact of the ways we tried to cut the property taxes and lower them. We had a hard teacher's contract, a really hard time the last time. I voted against it because I felt that it was going to handcuff us and have some problems in the future with dealing with our programs. I'm off the board now, but you've read it in the paper. You see the problems that they're having. They're looking at cuts and different things. And you know what? I predicted that 2 years ago. The other situation is health insurance. We used to do our health insurance with a consortium. The consortium had about 17 school districts in it, all centered on the fact of negotiations of each individual contract. We got out of that consortium, and I'm happy to tell you, Hempfield's going to have a $2.7 million windfall in the next year or so because they got out of it. My idea on property tax is expanding on the Act 1. I like a soft referendum. We need to regionalize school districts in a business acumen. We need to get a CFO, CEO, and professional negotiators of the personnel department to run that for the group of school districts that are in it. That will cause the districts to quit playing leapfrog in their buildings and quit playing leapfrog with their teachers' contracts and have everything stabilized in the area that they're in. So it would make the educational ability better for the children.
Thank you, Dr. Bompiani. Commissioner Ward?
Sure, as I said at the beginning, I favor a hard referendum. Governor Rendell's Act 1 does have a soft referendum, which says that, school boards can raise property taxes at the rate of inflation, but there are so many loopholes. Those need to stop. Many states do let the taxpayers have a voice in what they want to spend their money on. Some states, they approve a budget whether there's a tax increase or not, because most likely you, as taxpayers, would like to make sure your education system is good. So if they come to you and say, we need books, we're losing our best teachers, our schools are falling apart, chances are you're going to say, yes, I need my grandkids to have a good education. Okay, if they come to you and say, we need to spend $1 million on a press box, you're probably going to say, no, we don't want to do that. So I favor a hard referendum on property taxes. And while the state share of to the school districts, it hasn't really declined. It has continued with percentage, but the problem is the spending has been outrageous on the other end, on the school district end. It's never that the government doesn't have enough of your money. It's always that they spend too much money, which takes me back to my referendum. And the other thing in this, the Governor Rendell has $25 million pot. It's extra money for education that goes into Philadelphia. We need to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen. It needs to be across the state. Everybody needs to have a part in it, and Philadelphia doesn't need to get any more than any of us. I also think we need to return the legislative slush fund to the property tax relief efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner. 1 minute response, Dr. Bompiani?
Yes. With property tax reform, a hard referendum is not the best idea. It's not popular to say it's not the best idea. We have a soft referendum, as Commissioner Ward's referring to. That soft referendum is based on cost of living and your tax base for a school district. The richer school districts get a lower index that they can raise taxes with. There are two. A hard referendum, most likely, probably, you'll probably help them if their schools are falling down. These are words I don't want to put my children's education on the line for. I don't know too many referendums that are going to raise taxes that are going to pass when you throw them out on a ballot without people understanding everything that's going on, without people coming to the meetings that we have at the school districts. You elect your school board members to look at these problems and to evaluate the problems and then vote accordingly. A hard referendum has hurt other schools in other states. Public education is constitutionally provided by amendment in the Constitution for public schools and for public children. We can't allow it to decay. It's under attack enough. We need to protect it.
Thank you. The next question goes first to Commissioner Ward, and it addresses the problem of the decreasing supply of physicians in Pennsylvania. Last year, only 4% of doctors completing their residency in Pennsylvania elected to stay on and practice in this state. What would you do to try to remedy that problem?
Well, a lot of that goes back to the climate here in Pennsylvania for physicians and businesses in general. We need to change the tort system. As I said earlier, we do not need physicians practicing defensive medicine, which costs millions and millions and millions of dollars, so that they don't get sued. Our regulations, our paperwork, we need just to make Pennsylvania a friendlier place so that physicians want to stay here. It is a big issue. We lose not only our young people, as we talked about earlier, for jobs, we are losing a great number of our physicians here in Pennsylvania. We are down to, I don't know the exact number, but there's not very many OBGYNs left. You know, we have neurosurgeon problems. We've got issues right here in Westmoreland County, and we need to reform the tort system.
Thank you. Dr. Bompiani.
Yes. Being a chiropractor and practicing in Pennsylvania, I understand the plight and I understand what's happening. And I've seen some of my colleagues in the healthcare professions leaving. And while I would agree that a large part of that is with tort reform, we need to make sure when we do look at tort reform, we protect the patient's rights. Because after all, malpractice is designed and set up for the protection of the patient, not protection of the doctor. And any tests that are run should always be done for the protection of that patient, not for the protection against the lawsuit. That being said, I would agree that we are not physician-friendly in this state the way we should be. But it's like anything else. You know, there's two of the most intelligent groups I think we would all agree, and I'm not going to put me in there as a chiropractor, but the healthcare professionals and the law professionals are kept separate. It's called keep them separate and they can do whatever they want with the insurance company. We need to bring them together and let them hammer out what we need to do to make this a better place for tort reform for our patients and for their rights. And what I mean by that is those people don't understand what insurance companies do when there's a malpractice suit. They love it. They love it. Because when it happens, they automatically initiate their legal defense fund. $50,000, $100,000 put in a legal defense fund, no matter what the lawsuit is. Most of the lawsuits are frivolous and dropped. When they're dropped, that money's still there. That money was still given to their law group. And now the insurance rates go up higher because for that doctor. This is a problem. I would agree with Commissioner Ward. We need to make sure that we help protect them. But we've got to make sure whatever protection is given to them is given to the patient and pushed on by the patient and not see it as greed of some other side that's trying to take it. And we just need to be careful what we do and how we do it. But we do want the best physicians here. We need to make the climate the best that we can for them to operate in our state.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward, a minute.
Yes. Additionally, we need to stop jackpot juries. We don't need to have outrageous settlements because they've moved the venue into Philadelphia. Wherever an occurrence happens, that's where you should have your trial.
Okay, thank you. For radio listeners, this is the AARP Candidates Forum at Mountain View Inn this morning, and our candidates are running for the 39th Pennsylvania Senatorial.